Hello everyone, welcome to the Land of Wonders for a bit of a special episode today. We are at day 1070, so we've cleared the 1000 day mark on our forever world. Last episode actually, it blew right by it. So I thought today would be a good time to have a world tour. And just in case for anyone wondering, we are indeed in a creative copy of the world, just so I don't artificially inflate the day count on the main series. So starting off, we have our little starter area here in the taiga. The spruce taiga forest biome. So this is our first little settlement that we set up in the world, and we didn't actually get this all done in the first episode. In the first episode, I was set up in this little hole here, which I've detailed, so check that out in a little bit. But yeah, so this is our little starter home here. Let's go take a peek on the inside. And in here we have a nice little decor with, I think, some things left. I can't actually open these because So walking out the front door here, we come up to our little campfire with some logs just to add a little bit of the world building to the place. Back here is where we have our little farming area for some wheat and some potatoes. And I think that's a well that we have set up in the back over here. We have a little workstation set up back here with just the stone cutter and some barrels. And I've got a statue right here next to the house. We had a whole theme going on at the beginning of the world that I kind of maybe let go to the wayside a little bit. Coming back up to the front of the house here, if we go off, to the left of the house, we have our little path that leads into the docks right here. And if we follow our path back behind the house here, we have this little hidey hole, which is where we started off the series. And this became our super smelter room, which I never actually used because we built it on the way out, but I I just wanted to do something with this place. And I think there are actually more furnaces here than there are in my current smelting room at home. And over here we have another portal which was actually added quite recently. We went to gather some netherite for our spare armor. Oop. It's okay. This is a creative world. We're going to delete this afterwards anyways. So there's not much to this area, but for what it is, I think it's really, really nice. It blends into the environment quite a bit, I find. And it's really, really cozy, especially compared to where we are now. I think with all of this being a dense forest around it, kind of encloses it really nice. I like it over here. It's always cozy when we come back. So while we're here, there are a few things I learned while I was here. Number one, and this is important for anyone wanting to start YouTube, or if you want to use the day count in any way. If the day count is in any way important to you, if you use the command like to change the day and night cycle, I use that in the beginning to take screenshots and yeah, to take screenshots pretty much. That resets your day count. So in actuality, we're most likely around day 1200 if I were to guess, but we'll never really know. I guess if there's one thing that I could learn from this place and apply it to other places I built is the cohesion of it all. Like everything feels kind of low-key and rustic. There's no massive bridges or anything. The docks are really, really simple, and the path here is dirty. But with the tiny little hut in the middle of the woods, it kind of makes sense, and I like it. Also, with this being our starter base and where it's situated, I think having it be enclosed, and this is more naturally done because of the forest, but still, with it having its clear paths and being closed off from the rest, even though there's not much here, it feels finished. For me, I think this about wraps up this section. We could go ahead and move on to where we're currently situated, where most of our builds actually are. Oh, just before doing that, something I did gloss over is there are a few signs about here. This one, we called it Vortex's Smelter. Over here in front of the house, we have 41 equals zeros rest. This would be the name of this place. And we have Katamari's Dock. So I didn't come up with these names. These were pretty much the first few commenters and I guess subscribers of the series. So yeah, we kind of like commemorated them here. Lore wise, when I started the series, my character was supposed to be like a wanderer. And basically, this place, aside from being my starter base, was meant to be like, if there are other wanderers or other players that were to pass by, they could like borrow this lodge as a little cabin for the nighttime and share in the resources and write their stories. That's actually what this book and quill is for, is so that other people could write their stuff in it, which I just deleted it because we're in creative mode. All right, so we'll not touch that. It's kind of inspired by real life cabins where people can go and camp and they write their stories in a diary of some sort. And then as time goes on, as more people stop by, then more stories accumulate. And yeah, that was kind of the idea. Now we can move on to the next part. So I'm just traveling back to where my current home base is. And just for some context, we are currently, let me check, the 6th of April 2025. I think I started playing Minecraft at the end of August or mid-August 2024. Seems like it makes sense to me. This channel has been active since October of 2024. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that out there and we can kind of get a sneak peek of a thing we'll see a bit later. We'll try to go in semi-chronological order. Let's perch atop this mountain here. Alright, so here we are at our current base location where we have been pretty much since the beginning, except for like the first 3 episodes where we were over there at the zone that we just saw. So this is what we've got going on so far. So you can see a few of the builds from over here, but before going to inspect that a bit closer, something else I might have learned, and this is not necessarily a general lesson, but something more specific to me, I'd say, is maybe thinking about the choice of locations when you're building. There used to be a village here before we took it down and everyone died. And at first, when we moved here, it was because of this view over here. I thought was really cool next to the ocean. Something I've learned through playing this world and playing on the server is I might not have chosen to build on plains if I would have restarted the series. I like playing in biomes and just in spots where the environment is really kind of odd in of itself, and building off of that and using the terrain to inspire some builds, which, like I said, is probably a me thing. You look to the channel of Mog Swamp to be a counter to everything I'm saying now. But yeah, just something, just food for thought. So we're gonna go check out that house over there, which when we moved over here was the first house that we built. Here it is. Here is the little house that we had when we moved in. We've let a villager move in here for the time being, and it's pretty much the same dimensions as the other house. We just changed up the roof a bit, and I think it is quite cozy. And when I built this roof with this shape, I was really proud of myself. And I still think it looks really cool. It does feel quite Minecrafty, and it fits with the environment, I find. Now the rest of the surrounding area was built quite a bit after, but we'll go through it together anyways. So as you saw from over here, we have at least a path leading up to it, and the goal is to eventually link this up with that section over there and have all of this connected. But we still got quite a bit of work to get done, as you can see. Over back here, we have a little garden, a little flower garden area. And off to the left of this building here, we have a few little bushes slash trees that I've made that I think are quite cute. And most notably, a graveyard with a few headstones. The reason that we have a graveyard here isn't just for aesthetic purposes. When we first moved in, there was a village. But when I was building my house, I believe, over that ways, I must have not slept for a few nights in a row because I was underground, and they all died. All the villagers were just gone. So eventually we got around to decorating this place, and we got a graveyard to, I guess imagine that's where we buried their bodies, and this here would be the gravekeeper who takes care of that, which is why we got a flower garden in the back of the house. So lore-wise, he would come out here, tend to the garden, and use these flowers to make bouquets to place in front of the graves. And that's about it for this area. Just off to the side here, this is for where I had a bunch of cattle for the longest time. So a bunch of cows and sheep that were pretty much locked up in here, and I just haven't cleaned it up yet. They are now somewhere else. So something I like about this area is that it's not too massive, and like there's not much texturing going on here to make this look aged, but it's not too clean. Like the stones are all messy and the path is all messy, and I tend to like that, I find, so far. And another thing that I've learned is that I have to learn about nether portal mechanics more, because my place right now is still messed up. When I started, I had my portal down in here, off towards the side over there. And what happened was, when we used that at first, it was fine. Then I broke that, made a portal in the underground section of my house for easier access. And if I go in that portal, it makes me come out of this portal. And this is actually the third one, because every time it would spawn here, I'd break it, and then I'd go in again, come back out, it'd set another portal a few inches to the side, and it did like 3 times over. I still don't know what that's about. I would like to have it so I could go in a portal and come out the same one, because now every time I go to the nether, if I go in through my home base, I exit out here. So the other alternative would be to build a building around it, which I guess I'm going to have to do eventually. But I'm sure there's a workaround, right? So I haven't quite learned my lesson for that, but I just learned that I don't know what I'm doing. And we got to fix that eventually. So I guess next up would be this building right here, which is our home. And once again, all of this like landscaping was done quite a whiles afterwards, but we'll take it as one big thing while we're here. So here is the house, and for those of you who didn't see the episode, this was actually based on my Sims 3 house that my wife and I built in our Sims 3 world way back when. So we tried to recreate that in Minecraft, except for the interior. The interior is purely Minecraft, but the build itself is pretty much in the same shape that that building was in. So if we go up top here, this is the bedroom design, which I quite like, but honestly, I'm not here all that often. I'm actually very, very, very rarely here. Closet here, a little bed set, and another desk design where I usually would have my book and quill here to write notes and whatnot, but with me not coming here very often, I've ended up putting that book and quill into my ender chest and carrying that with me everywhere. But thematically, I still think it's cool. And we have a little double bed design here. If we take the stairs down here and we head into the downstairs area, this is where it's a bit of a mess, but this is where my main working space is. So we got some storage here, and the storage has moved around quite a bit. I've changed the categories as I needed with time, but we got 2 dogs, which I actually knew. Spoilers for the next episode. And our 2 cats here. If we go down here, this is my main storage room, which when I built, I was really proud of this. I thought it was really cool. And it is still pretty cool. So we have a bunch of chests. I think if I remember, it was about 80, but I might be wrong. I'm not going to bother counting because it's not really important. And over here, we have our enchanting area. We have our nether portal here, which is what I was talking about when I mentioned the nether portal. Funny business going on. And we have over here, which this actually is recent. I don't think I've actually shown this in an episode yet. This used to be a little garden that I had for potatoes and whatever I needed to eat at the time. But I've changed it out for a lava farm to fuel the furnaces. And I just like cleaned it up a bit. So yeah, this is my house at the moment. And I like this build, but there are a few things that I've learned that kind of, I don't know. I'll just go through the points and then we'll see what we think at the end. For the enchanting items and books and whatnot, it's just a slight bit too inconvenient for me to have my grindstone and anvil and smithing table here, but the enchanting table downstairs, because I have to do like this little rigmarole every time I want to enchant something, and I have to grind it up and then head back down and then enchant it and then head back up, which would be an easy fix. I could literally just take these and plop them down here in the middle and it would be fixed. But yeah, just something to think about. And also, I do like the storage room design, but this labeling system is not nearly as practical as I thought it was going to be when I set it up. I constantly misclick and this end up like, oh, I did something weird with the chests. Okay. I constantly end up misclicking and then not even bothering to look up. So like it works, but when I redo a storage room in the next place, I'm going to definitely change that up a bit. In terms of the actual build itself, I think it still holds up and it looks nice in context with everything else behind it. I think I still like this building, but I think with time, I've kind of grown to, well, I mean, I think I've grown a bit as a builder. So I don't know, something kind of just, yeah. I think if we head to the back here, I can, This whole back section is kind of uninteresting. We don't usually see this backside, but yeah, that window here is kind of yeah. But at the same time, this is really meant to accurately replicate the other building that was already made in The Sims. So on that aspect, it came out really well. If we look at the surrounding area, I really like this path design with the gravel, the cobblestone, the mossy cobblestone, and I think we got some pale moss mixed up around in here as well. Yeah, we do. Along with these gardens here that are just kind of messy. I think it just makes it look a bit less bland because the building in and of itself is really just two colors. So this kind of makes it fit in a lot more than it did before this. Same thing with this little pond here, which I built that one over there first and just had to make another one. I kind of was addicted to these for a little bit. And this here is my first little tree that I've ever built by hand. And it's not the best thing. Like from top here, you can see there's like a hole that I never spotted. But usually when you're down here, you can't tell. And I think it works well enough for what it is. And I really like the idea of it being a little chilling area for our character here with the swing set. If we move over to the side here just a little bit, we have our first little custom pond that was in the terraforming episode. And I still think this thing is cute. I think it really makes the rest of the buildings blend into the area. And yeah, I have not much to say. I like my custom plant here. It looks a bit funky, but I think it works, and I like that I have mangrove in it to add a bit of color. I guess the main takeaway from this thing would be paths and landscaping is OP to make everything else look better and fit. Alright, so I'm going to do a little side note as we're transitioning to the next build, which might not be in chronological order because I can't remember and I can't be bothered. A through line of my series has been my indecision when it comes to shaders. I cannot for the life of me decide if I want them or not. So for this episode, I kind of stuck the BSL shaders on. I took the clouds off and kept my Better Clouds mod. And I like it. I like the water, but you know, something about this grass is just too bright and green, and I just can never seem to get it right. And I don't know. I'm just very picky, I guess. This is what it looks like without shaders, which I think is what we're going to do for the rest of the episode, because even with the shaders on, I think with how much stuff I have in the world, my frames are kind of like pitching constantly. So we're going to go back to where it was at the beginning. Well, at the beginning, 2 episodes ago. Okay, so on to our next build, which would be this house thing behind me here, which actually is a villager house. So as we were doing some other project, I can't quite remember what exactly, but we had zombie villagers appear, and that's when I realized I could cure them and then make them breed. So we did just that. At first I had them huddle up in holes, and then I had them stored in where the cattle was, in another like little room over to the side. And basically what we did was we built this up kind of on the fly during an episode to house the villagers, and they all just chill out up here for some reason on the top floor. They won't come down from here unless I break the floor, but then they'll just make their way back up here again. So it's not the prettiest room. This was really just to store a bunch of beds to so they could breed. But yeah, this is where my trading hall, if you will, has been for the last 500 days, I guess. A bit more than that, maybe. Coming down here is like the main room where there are 2 extra beds that actually don't really belong there. That was just to make more villagers. Otherwise, this is the actual bedroom design with a nice big window to look out to the ocean. And this is our little kitchen area. So this build, I'd say, is when I started to try to experiment a bit more with using multiple wood types. As you can see here, we have spruce on the bottom, and here oak and some birch all mixed in together. Actually, no, that's oak, and that would be spruce up here. I had my hand at making a chimney thing, little fireplace. And I think this was the first build in the series where I didn't use creative to plan it, which isn't saying much considering that that was the first one. Well, that was the second one and then the other one. But still, which kind of explains the odd roof thing that we have going on here. I'm sure we could fix this up a bit better now if we tried, but I don't think we could do that while preserving the chimney. Looking at this build now, I think the thing I like the most about it is perhaps that little window up there and the chimney poking out. And if I were to change something, maybe the random texturing here, although it does kind of look nice. I don't know, I've gotten used to it and it looks pretty cool. I think I like the usage of using the stone here to split up the layers of wood to kind of make the difference not too shocking to look at. And in terms of terraforming, landscaping I should say, since this is a villager house with villagers and baby villagers, I made a little playset on the outside for them to play in. So this would be a teeter-totter or a seesaw. And we have a little swing set just right here. Alright, this is take 2 because I forgot to record the first time. This is our next build. This little house has been here for quite a while. I quite like it, but as you can tell, I have not been back to terraform or landscape in any capacity. With this wall still being like this. I do, however, have a little bit of storage back here that was meant as decorations that I really don't really use. And we have a little stable slash horse resting area here so that when I did come here, I could set my horse down to relax here while I did whatever I was doing on the inside. I tried when I was doing this to make something in a bit of a different shape than I was used to. Most of my other builds from my old worlds are all square based, which, you know, duh, makes sense. So I tried something circular and I tried to make a different kind of roof using more slabs and to like shape it in stairs to make something a bit different, kind of almost castle inspired, and it's kind of funky looking from here, but I think it works with the build itself. I think it looks cool. And we have our first incident of the circle doorway design that I will use and abuse throughout the other builds in this series. And that is that for the outside. Let's go inside, which, you didn't see that. So in here we have more decorations in the form of just a bunch of storage. So yeah, quite easy on the decorations, just some storage, some flowers, a banner here, and that's about it, and a bed. But that's because this house is actually a secret entrance to a double XP farm that we have built downstairs. So over here, we have our first XP farm, which is a spider farm. There they are. So there's not much to say here. This is it. You can see how it is. I tried to do something cool with the floor with the amethyst that I found. If we go off over here, it's actually just the mines that I was mining out when I found the spawner. And as we were exploring the mines more that ways, I went down a bit and came across another spawner that I realized was quite close to this one, which leads us down this tunnel to this here. Which brings me to the skeleton XP farm. Let's see if we can get one to fall. There he is. So this has pretty much been my main source of arrows and bone meal. And same deals before, if we head off towards this section, it's just part of the mines that we were mining out before we came upon it. And this part has been mined out quite a bit because I gathered a bunch of tuff from this for another build that we'll see a bit later on in this episode. And that's about that for this build. We can pretty much head back outside and see our next build. Alright, so next up in the order I think would be this building here, which, I mean, it might be a bit harder to tell because of the attempt at texturing that I have going on, but can you maybe tell when this was built? This was pretty much made when the Pale Garden update dropped. In that episode, we not only went to visit the Pale Garden and get some pale oak wood, I actually went around and got all saplings for all trees to contain in this building here. This was pre-Elytra. I've got kind of a theme going on with the world where my storage room is becoming less and less relevant. I'm moving everything out into their own buildings. And this was the first instance of that. So what this is a wood storage room. So all the wood and stuff is going to be stored in here. And it's where I'm going to store all the saplings so that if I want a particular kind of wood, if I need spruce, I grab some spruce saplings. If I need oak, I'll grab oak. And I'll plant them out the side here, bone meal them, and then we'll chop those down for whatever we need. That's the point of this building. Let's go look on the inside. I think this exterior is really, really cool. We actually did this in 2 episodes comparatively to the other ones. So like I said, in each corner here, we have a sapling. So this is the pale oak, that's the birch, that's acacia. You get the point. So in the barrels, we have the saplings, and in The chests, we have wood. So whatever I have left at the end of my project, I dump it in here. And usually these are actually empty because I just like get the wood that I need and then that's it. But if I have some extra, I'll throw it in here so I can have it easily accessible. And in the middle, we have a little thing with glass here to make it look a lot deeper than it is. So it's a little artificial pond with some fish. Just add some decorations with a little walkway. And the reason that this was done in two parts and that this was added in afterwards was because my original idea was to have the center here be all grass and dirt. And we were supposed to plant our trees here and then grow them and then cut them in here. But most of our trees, the 2x2s and everything that's twisty like the cherry tree behind me here and the acacia, didn't grow at all. So we put that on the outside and we put this on the inside instead. And I think it's really cool. I think it turned out better this way. And once again, we got my circle doorway design here that's being reused. And I've also used it for the windows a bit more in an oval fashion. And if we back up to about here, and if you like squint your eyes a bit, that kind of looks like Toad. So if we take a bit of a moment to inspect this build a bit more, I was really proud of this when I built it, and I still think it's pretty cool. But I don't dislike it now. I'm not as fond of it as I used to be. I think it kind of looks funny, like with this looking like Toad. And also, this is when I was starting to experiment a bit more with, I guess, gradients and texturing. And like this works in the sense that it's all white and it does add variety, but it kind of does feel just random. And I'm not sure how I feel about that right now. I don't know. The texturing on the roof, however, I think that works. It's a bit subtler and it makes sense for it to be worn. Maybe it could have a bit more rhyme and reason to it, but I think it does its job. Now we shall move on to the next build. Now this next build is a bit different in that it's actually this mound here. This mound, this little hill, is the next build, kind of. In the holiday season, during the holiday season I should say, good English, I built a sugarcane farm and a creeper farm just out in the open here to do what I need to do. I had just beaten the Ender Dragon, and yeah, so we built those, but what I wanted to do was hide them a bit, but kind of integrate them into the world, but I didn't want to make a building for them, so what we did is we built those underground, and we built this hill over top of it. So this is all like down to this level, I think, beforehand. And actually, I think there was a little ravine here. So we built this, and this is the entrance. This is the doorway to it. And if we go in here, and the creeper farm is actually in here. And I think we'll slip into free cam to get a peek at that. It's the design with the cats. Whoop. And I think it's 3 layers if I recall correctly. So that's 1, 2... Or is it only 2? Oh, it's only 2 layers, but it's stupidly effective. This thing just keeps filling up more than I can actually use it up, which is a good thing. This is the sugarcane farm here, built in like so. And eventually this section here was supposed to be a sugarcane farm, but a bit later on, we'll just look at it now, but this was added way later. Oh, hi zombie. We added a cactus farm here that is supposed to be my XP farm. It doesn't really work all that well. I mean, it works, but it's not fast enough. But that was okay. That was a spring break project that we had going on. And while we're here, we might as well go down these here, which is just my strip mine that we did during the same spring break region of the year. With coming into Minecraft just about a year ago and being in the later version of the game, strip mining isn't really viable. So I had never done it, but I wanted to give it a try. And it was quite relaxing. I was sick during that time, so we just put the game on while laying down in bed and then mined a bunch of rows over here and got quite a few diamonds, a bunch of deep slate, and a few other stuff. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And there's my beacon. So once again, this is the mound that's hiding the farms, but usually when you make a creeper farm, you need to have an AFK platform, which is that right there, which is a little house that's on a floating cloud, kind of like in, I don't know, it kind of makes me think of Mario 3, right? Really small. It's meant to be seen from afar. And it has this little water thing going down. So basically I can get up without the elytra if I need to, which I don't really ever. And this is pretty much what it looks like. It's really meant to be seen from afar. And on the inside, I think either I'm missing a piece or I must have broken it at some point. or I might have not actually finished it. I don't remember. But yeah, this is the AFK platform. And the funny thing about this is that ever since I built it, I've never been back because I don't need to. For some reason, this creeper farm works even when I'm not at the AFK platform. So when I'm doing projects around here, as long as it's loading in, it tends to work and fill up without me having to go up to the AFK platform, which is pretty cool. So this thing is useless, but it looks cool, and the farm is actually more efficient than it was supposed to be. I think we're going to go head to bed and get rid of these guys. Alright, so while all of our problems are burning away, we're going to slowly approach the next build, which you must have seen, which is this thing right here. And I actually fixed this in the survival version, but I think just before starting the recording, a creeper must have passed by here and blown up the place, because this was not a hole. This is supposed to be filled in. So this is my horse stable for my horsies. And with looking back at everything, I think this might be my favorite build. The episode is called My Favorite Build, and I think it still holds true, even though it's not the latest. I just think that I did a particularly good job at this one with all the shapes and the color selection. And the detailing, I don't know, it looks cool and I like it a lot. We use dark oak as the outline of everything, so the logs here and the signs and the outline of the roof. Mixed with some jungle wood, which is pretty cool because I never used jungle wood until then. And it kind of has this orangish color to it, but I think it looks really nice, especially juxtaposed with this mud here. And this build, along with trying out to do some texturing, which I think I've done a bit better here. It's a bit lighter. And there isn't necessarily more logic to it, but with it being lesser, I think it blends a bit more and adds just a bit more of an interest to everything. And I tried to do a bit more color theory, so this here is reddish to me, or reddish orange, so that's why I have the green window panes to kind of contrast and go with that a bit. And I tried varying the window designs with these ones being open and these ones being closed. And I think it's pretty cool with the way it came out with the 3-tiered roof system and everything. If we actually go inside, it's still quite cozy. We have it dirt here, since in the lore, the horses and whatnot, what I'm riding, are going to be walking here, so it's just going to be dirt. We have a little carpet here that's with hay bales and some glow lichen to outline it, to make it look more like a carpet and less just like hay on the ground. Some storage on the outsides here, and I do have a horse here. With the creeper blowing it up, he's gone, but I went and recuperated him in my main world, so don't you worry. And once again, this is doubling as an external storage, so not only do we have my animals, like my livestock out back here, and camels and my horses, we also have my saddles and my horse armor all out in these chests here, so that they're not just hanging in my house over there, which I think just makes a bit more sense, and it's kind of cool to have them in their own place rather than just in a bunch of chests at my house. And if we go up here, this would be the little ranch hand's bedroom, and that would be his storage area, and I think it looks pretty nice. It's pretty cozy. And there it is. That's the horse stable, which is my favorite house. My favorite build yet. Hopefully we'll surpass it soon. Side note before moving on, one thing that I've learned through doing this is that I am an extremely slow builder. I think at least. It might just be like comparison that's making me think that with looking at other YouTubers, but I feel like in 1,000 days we haven't gotten that much done. We have 3 more builds to look at and then we're already done. But it's a good time. Next up would be this over here. And this building is a bit funkier than the other ones in terms of shape. We got like a rectangle at the base, then triangles here, and then whatever the heck this could be called. I tried to make this weird to make it weird, to try new things, and I think it looks pretty cool. This here is my greenhouse / food storage area, and for food I'm mainly referring to like vegetables and stuff, not livestock. That would still be over there. So one thing you could probably immediately tell with this build is that it is extremely colorful with the red bricks, the orange roof, and the white outline here, and the inside has got a lot of color to it as well. But for this being for plants and greenery and whatnot, I think it really fits. If we go take a look on the other side, this is what it looks like. We have 3 colored paned windows and a sunroof, I guess you could call, where you can actually see through it. Right around here is when I started to try to maybe change my mindset when it comes to building a little bit. Like, I think the way I like to play, which might change, but I think the way I like to play and have my builds is for them to be looking cool, but also feel Minecrafty or video gamey. So I want them to serve a purpose if I can, and I want it to be fun, but I don't want to like just automate everything out of the game and not have to play the game anymore, which is why we have part manual work in here and part semi-automatic stuff here. So these three little redstone machines here are my main source of food and legumes or vegetables that I need. So mostly what I use is the potatoes here to use to cook food, and I eat potatoes. I have carrots if I want to breed up the villagers or trade, and wheat seeds if I need to use wheat for whatever reason. So I'm going to turn this on. I'll let you guys hear it for a brief sec. It's very, very loud. Standing here using this is what I would use to get pretty much all of my potatoes and whatnot for food and for trading. Because within like a minute you can get like 4 or 5 stacks of whatever you're farming, and then we just close that here. So this is mainly what I needed when I did this build in the episode, but at the same time continuing on with moving out my storage from out of my house into the world. This here is where we have all of our greenery stuff. So everything that's a vegetable, a berry, and a fruit or whatnot, it's all in here. So if you go in here, I don't have a name for it yet. It says welcome to. This is our maintenance area where we can restock our machines with some bone meal if need be. Over to here is the main entrance. So if we head off to the right here, this is where I store my watermelons. So there's not many, but mainly what I'll do is every now and again I'll come here, harvest these, just till the soil, and then let that grow again and trade it with the villagers in the house over there. And same thing with this section, which is for our pumpkins. And we used a bunch of leaves as hedges to use to make walls with instead of just actual wood. And I think it adds something. Moving on towards this section, we have the same idea. Pick your own beans with cocoa beans. So we just basically have this huge mess of jungle logs with a bunch of cocoa beans. If I ever need them. I haven't used them yet. I think we can make brown dye with it and some cookies. So whenever I want to do that, well then there's a bunch here that I can get. On the right hand side, you notice I have some stuff. And here, there's no real function here other than, I guess, the crafting table if I wanted to use it for the cocoa beans. But mainly, I'd say this is like if in the lore we have customers coming in and they wanted to pick their cocoa beans and make something with it. We have some water here and some kind of machines, some pumps or something. I don't quite know, but it looks like to do something, which is pretty much the point. Going up here, we have 2 little plants to kind of accent the doorway. We come to our second floor here, which is really, really small. And it has some berries, some flowers, and some beetroot. And I think this place it looks really, really nice with the green flooring. If we go out here, we have our little balcony. This is meant to be kind of a cafe / smoothie shop. So this is where they come and hang out and relish their smoothies, I guess. So we got some more pots and some greenery out here. And I've used some glowberries as lighting. And with it being a greenhouse, I think it looks really nice and adds a nice pop of color against the orange here. We head back inside and head up to the topmost floor. This is where we once again have more berries. So if I want berries, I can get them here. We got some more some cherry bushes, some more beetroot, and with that, I got pretty much everything I need here. And this would be kind of like the counter where the barista or waiter, whatever, would be working, making smoothies, serving them to the customers, and if the customers want, they can hang out here, or they can go outside through the balcony right there. And that is pretty much it for this build. If we look up, we can kind of see out of our roof here, which does look pretty neat. All right, so we're already up to the second to last build, unless I'm forgetting something, but I don't think I am. So we're going to that big massive tower we see over there, which in terms of scale, this, maybe except for what I did in the last episode, this was the biggest build that I'd ever done. And I think in terms of one single building, this so far still is the biggest build that I've ever done. I think it was about 12,000 blocks, and in total, just in building time, it took me just about 6 hours. That's not counting the gathering and the designing of the build. So this is from the episode, The Hall of Heroes, and this thing, I was really excited to make it. It just looks cool from every angle I find, especially from the village over there, when you got like the border fog kind of covering it up. So I suppose we should just head in. And once again, this here is meant to be, it's just overcomplicated and oversized storage room for my armor trims of all things. So the idea is in this tower here, on each level, there is a section dedicated to an armor trim, and we're treating the armor trims as if they were trims to a certain hero. So for this armor trim, it would be for a certain hero, and this would be his armor set. So that would be the lore implications of it, and I think it's pretty cool. And for the practical side of it, when I want to use my armor trims for whatever reason, then I can come here, get the one I wanted, and then duplicate it and bring it back. And that's mainly it. So this is what it looks like from the inside. And in terms of building, this place is done. But in terms of filling it out, it's not done yet. We don't have all the armor trims. We don't have everything filled out in terms of armor. And we don't have any names for our heroes. So we're kind of just imagining that they exist, but we haven't fully realized it yet. We can see up here we have some more trims, and with the heroes on their like armor stands looking out to the lands, kind of watching over them is the concept. Oop. Let's head up to the next floor, which I think is actually still empty. Yep, it's still empty. Eventually, when we get more armor trims, we'll be able to store them here. And up on the top floor is where we have the armor that I had while I was fighting the dragon, which is this here. I think that's the sentry armor trim alongside a dragon head and the sword I used to take the dragon down. And this here would be like the hero of the land, the dragon slayer, right? Which is basically the secondary purpose of the building, which was to honor the armor. And I wanted to build a kind of shrine or something. So I kind of put those two ideas together and came up with this tower. So we have the other armor trims down below, and up here we have, I guess, what would be like the main hero, where his armor is up here being honored. And once again, from up here, we got a pretty good view of our surroundings, of the village and of everywhere else. There's not much built around here yet, but you can see pretty much all around. One final thing to look at for this build would actually be if we head back down here, we have a downstairs. We have a downstairs area with a bedroom for the groundskeeper, who is also watching over our dragon egg and making sure that this thing never hatches and wreaks havoc upon our world. Which is why it's contained in this kind of container here. And I think this was a pretty cool lore addition to the world. So very quickly, this is his bedroom with his books, his little study where he keeps the log of everything going on, and some other books of pretty much keeping track of the dragon egg. Eventually, I think I'm going to try to get a cleric down here. Just because I feel like it'd be cool. So yeah, that about covers it for this build. I guess another detail we could look at is on the top of the tower. The cardinal directions are etched on either side, and they are correct. So this says it's facing east, and it should be facing east if we look here. I think it's worth noting that this build is the first build that I built, or that I planned rather, using Axiom. So yeah, that was pretty cool. It explains the massive cylindrical shape of it. I really like how this build turned out. With it being built with Axiom, I think I had a bit more time to make it big and then focus back in on the details. I think I did a good job of detailing it, but without it having too many blocks, and it's still readable. At least for where I am in my building journey. Like, this isn't a B-dubs build or something, and I'm sure he could have done wonders with it. So B-dubs, if you want to remake my tower, but with your skills and make it cooler, and then I can see it, it's okay. You can do it. I won't sue you for copyright. You can do it. But yeah, this is where I'm at right now with my building, and I think it looks pretty cool. I was kind of wondering if I didn't do enough in terms of block palettes, but I think with it being a stone tower, it works. I like it. I think next time I use Axiom to plan a build, I will just try to experiment a bit more with shapes, maybe, and not just stick with one that's getting bigger and smaller. This is just the same cylinder that's getting a bit wider at the bottom and a bit wider at top. So last but not least, I don't know how long this is going on for actually. I'll be editing this all at the end of the filming as opposed to as I'm filming like I usually do. But I think it went by quite fast. This is the build / project that we worked on in our last episode, and I think it was really cool. It's starting to show that the scale of our projects is getting to be a bit bigger, and yeah, I'm kind of coming to terms with that and adjusting, if you will. I'd just like to say, if you made it this far into the episode and you think everything is cool and you want to join in on the journey, then please feel free to hit that subscribe button and like and comment and all that good stuff. Oh boy, I'm falling. For any specific build, I'd say just go look through the Land of Wanderers playlist. There are 2 of them for 2 seasons, and in the thumbnails, usually they have the builds in question, and I won't comment on the quality of the episodes. I haven't been at this for very long. I think my episodes now are better, but the old ones aren't actually that old, but I was a lot shyer and newer to editing and whatnot, so just keep that in mind if you like go to episode 2. But yeah, so here it is. This is the latest project from the last episode, which is finally building the Mountainside Village, I believe is what I called it. And by the way, that was also my most viewed Land of Wanderers video, so thank you everyone who watched that and subscribed from it. It made me really happy. I woke up one day with 20 extra subscribers, so thank you. This is the project. So when we moved into this area of our world, one thing that I instantly noticed was this cave here that had a big hole in it already carved out, and I thought that was really cool. And I told myself right then, I need to build in here. And like 11 episodes later, that's what we did. So I guess we could take this trip from the bottom here. This is our little docking / entrance area where the boats, I guess, would show up to enter the village. We have our walkway up here with just some lanterns, nothing too fancy. And this is our entrance here, which let's get a bit of a look at from up here. We have a bit of this design going on with the glass. And now for this episode so far, I've had a continuity mod on with the connected glass textures. In the last episode, we actually had the old glass textures on because I kind of got a kick out of it. And kind of like shaders, I'm indecisive as to whether I want connected textures or the old glass textures. Where are they? I think especially for this build, the old glass textures work really, really well. So as we walk in, this is our little main pathway, and I think we will take a right. Over here we have our boat shop with our worker who got himself stuck into a boat. We've got our shrine / prisoner here with our pillager that's stuck here, looking at me very, very happy. If we walk through, we have this little archway here with a bunch of glowberries to light it up and add some life to the build. This was all stone before. In here we have our grand hotel / sleeping area for most of our villagers. So basically it's kind of open air, and they have their little places to stay. Which actually, where are the villagers? There was one in that shop, but there should be at least 2 more. Maybe they're in the building somewhere. Hopefully they're not dead. We have another house here, which is like the blacksmith / armorer's house. Less details done on the inside, but I just want to thing in place. Oh, here they are. Let's leave them to it. So that is that house. Let's zoom up a bit, and I added in a little river here for some decor. I put fish in there, but for some reason they swam upstream and then died, so there are no more fish in there. If we head down this way, we have our little crops area so that they can nourish themselves, keep themselves fed. This is back here at the entrance. We have a little information booth, kind of in the same style as the boat shop right there. Over here, this was also all stone when we actually built what came in at the beginning, and I added in a bunch of moss, and there are some jack-o'-lanterns hidden underneath here to light it up a bit. Following along the path here, we have another platform, kind of like the one we have down there. That is, I guess, just a viewing platform. Maybe we could dive off here to go swimming. And moving into over here, we have a little chilling area. So a custom made tree, another little swing set made more with trapdoors, a bunch of seats, some greenery, a little sleeping bag, some fireplaces, and a little picnic set up here underneath the tree. So this is where the villagers could just hang out and relax. And I guess last but not least would be this little house up here, which is the foreman's office / my house while I was building this build. And we got some fish in here in a little aquarium, and a nice big view of the whole village, which I think is really cool. Let's actually get rid of the old glass textures and look through our window with continuity on. And there it is. That looks pretty nice, doesn't it? And believe it or not, with over 1,000 days in Minecraft, this is where we are at so far. I don't know, this might just be a perspective issue, but I feel like there isn't that much in my world, but at the same time there is a lot. but I like it. It's my world. And I think it'll be cool once we make it to 2,000 days to kind of make another one of these and just going through our builds and kind of seeing how much work we got done in that next interval. Obviously, things are kicking up a notch with having an Elytra and shulker boxes, but this still took like 100 days of Minecraft, so I'm curious to see where we'll be at in another 900 days. But with all that being said, everyone, I hope you all enjoyed my little world tour. We'll be back in the next episode with some more building and exploring and stuff. I kind of have an idea of what we're going to do, but you'll just have to wait and subscribe and see for the next episode. If you like the builds that you've seen, if you like listening to my voice, and if you want to see what we're going to be up to in the next episodes and follow me along for a journey, then please feel free to hit that subscribe button. If you have any ideas, any comments, anything at all, leave that down in the comments below. I'll be sure to read those and I'll answer you back in a timely manner. And that's about it. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.